you, man, for having me.
Coach, man, you're just coming off a nice put together camp on last week. A lot of talent was on display. A lot of diamond in the roughs. I know y'all offered some kids at the camp. Talk about that camp last week and how good was it to have that kind of talent be on your campus to come see the new building and kind of get your eyes on some of them kids that y'all been kind of recruiting from afar.
Every time we get to this time of the year, the end of July, we have the pro football camp, and Dr. Elias and his group put it on, do a fantastic job, and it concludes a really busy summer of camps on our campus. And I know a lot of the fans know we have the Manning Passing Academy, we have the Louisiana Line Camp, which brings people in from all over the area. And then we have this camp that we had over 400 strong. So it was really, really awesome. We get to host a camp. This one is really ours, and we bring in a lot of good talent. And I'll tell you this, we had, you saw some of the talent we had. I saw more offense and defensive linemen
Right.
at our camp that we brought in that would really, really could play for us. It was good to have them. And yeah, we threw some offers out to them. So hopefully we can get some commitments coming in real soon.
Now, Coach Rebowe, this is Coach Hurricane Hen. One of my mentors in the coaching game and somebody I had a good relationship with that I didn't know that you was affiliated with was Coach Ed Ogeron. And he explained to me that you was a heck of a baseball player growing up, I was trying to figure out for the life of me, how did you go from being
Right.
a heck of a baseball player to being like one of the best linebacker coaches that I've ever seen when you was at
Monroe.
ULM, and then now like one of the premier coaches in the Southland in y'all division on the football side of things.
Well, hey, listen to this. It's funny, but let's use that term very loosely about heck of a baseball player, all right? I played it a little bit. I played it a little bit in college, and then, but it's funny because I got my start at Destrehan High School, and I was the head baseball coach at Destrehan and assistant football coach. And then after 5 years, Coach Chipper Simon said, "Hey, man, I think it's time for you to move up and be the head football coach." And I took that path. And listen, there's just no looking back. And so I had a good career all in the state of Louisiana, been around some good people, but I don't know, man. That baseball was a long, long time ago.
Well, it worked out for you because you walked into Destrehan and you didn't do nothing but coach the great Ed Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, we had some players. Listen, Rondell Mealy, Ed
Yeah.
Reed,
Yep.
Chandler Mesh. I can go on, Alan Morton. I can go on and on and on about some of the good players. And listen, you guys know this. Good players make good coaches. And I just tried to get out of their way and let them go.
Coach, I kind of want to rewind a little bit. You guys won the Southland 2 years in a row, and then COVID hit. Then we had the hurricane. The last 2 years just been a little rocky, a little up and down. A lot of inconsistency the last couple of years for you guys, and you haven't been able to get the most out of your team. Talk about getting back to some normalcy this season, having a spring, being able to have a real fall camp and get you guys acclimated for upcoming season to kind of get back to what y'all was doing in 2019 and 2018.
Yeah, it's crazy how things took a turn. We were coming off of a real good high. Then we had the shortened season where we played in the spring.
Yep.
And then last year, we were one game out of the playoffs. And if we win the second to last game at home, we won 4 out of the last 5. And if we beat UIW at home, really, we're going to be conference champs and in the playoffs.
Yep.
But our culture here is such that the off season is so important to what we do. And, the camaraderie, the discipline, that the guys play together and doing all that stuff. We kind of lost that. And listen, I know other people did too. That's not an excuse, but that's just a big part of who we are. And, we went through the spring. We had a decent spring. Went 4-3, and then last year we went 6-5. So it wasn't like we that far off, but we're excited about going through. Look, we looked at this too, G. You talk about, we played in the spring. You had summer workouts. You played in the fall. and now we're coming back again. So now it is back to normal. Spring ball, summer workouts. It's been a long road for some of these guys, but I think we got a lot of good pieces to the puzzle in place, and I'm excited about where we are right now.
Coach, I want to ask you about that culture statement that you just made, because one of the things that I noticed was, before y'all just took off and ran, like Southeastern was kind of like the cream of the crop of what they was doing, and one of their biggest thing was they was getting a whole bunch of transfers in, and then when y'all turned that corner, y'all had I think y'all biggest influence of transfer with Devontae Jason, you had a Troy Hurst,
Lindsey
Scott, Pig Cage. The list went on and on. And then y'all, with the culture that y'all had set, y'all just went on a tear. And then like G admitted, COVID, then Hurricane Ida, and now you kind of back to the bases. But those high school recruits that y'all just been since your tenure been known to just get them in and get the best out of them, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. Y'all kind of got back to that. How does that help y'all in the upcoming season?
Yeah, I've always believed in, Coach, we talk about this, me being an old high school guy. I mean, that's where my roots are. And then, being in the state of Louisiana, that's where my roots are. So when we got here, Southeastern was on the roll, and they were doing it with all transfers. And that's hard to do too. But, hats off to them. They had success doing that, and we want to build it a different way. And if you still look at our roster, the majority is from Louisiana. Now, that's not saying we're going to not go outside. We got a little footprint. We go into Mississippi. Now we're getting into Alabama a little bit. But there's so many good players in this area. We always said, why would we go outside to go get players when they're right here in our backyard?
Yep.
And that's what we built, and that's what we sold. And there's a lot of good players, and it puts people in the stands, and it puts them coming back when they're done. And now we ain't even going to get started about, the transfer portal, because that's really going to put us back to really going after more high school players, because I think everybody, all the big boys, are going to be looking to offer all the guys' rosters in college to try to get players. If they need a linebacker, guess what? They're probably going to go try to look at another college linebacker before they get a high school guy.
Yep.
So we're going to have to concentrate on them high school players, develop them, get them here, and then hopefully you can keep them here.
Coach, I kind of want to piggyback on what you just was saying about the transfer portal. How tough is it as a staff when you recruit a high school kid that kind of he might have went under the radar, whatever the case may be, and he comes to Nicholls and he has a great season or has a great 2 season, and then the big schools come calling? How difficult is it to continue to keep those kids in your program, even though they have those big Power 5 schools coming after them after they had a good season?
I think every kid wants to play at the highest level. And I had kids tell me that all the time. So I joke with them and say, "Hey, you want to play at the highest level? What, you want to play in the NFL?" And they say, "Well, yeah, Coach, I want to do that." But I know they want to go try to play in the SEC. Look, they would love to play for Alabama. And look, that's why coaches move too, right? They always want to try to take a step up and see what they can do. So it is going to be tough. I never want to stop a kid from trying to achieve his dream or to see where he wants to get to. But here's the thing. It's such a small percentage of guys that really are leaving your program. And I use round numbers. And, I told some coaches this, and I tell people, if you got 100 guys on your team and 2 of them are leaving, I got to worry about the other 98 that's here. Yep. And that's what we're trying to sell and be. They're all not looking to leave. They're all not looking to go somewhere. But unfortunately today with social media and stuff, that's what gets talked about the most. So we're going to have some. I think the biggest compliment we get, guys, is when we do a good job of recruiting and we do a good job of building that relationship. And then coaches tell us, "Hey, man, I don't know how you got that kid."
Right.
Almost saying like he's too good for Nicholls, and you do that. That's a compliment to me that we're doing a good job, that we're on the right kids. So hopefully we can keep doing that. And look, try to hang on if you can. But, if a guy doesn't want to be here, I get it. And now with NIL money and getting a chance to go and play other places, who am I and how can we stop it?
Right.
But speaking of that, Coach, when you dictate to your staff of the type of players that you want in the Nicholls State uniform, what's your mindset? Like, what are you looking for? Like, as a high school, as like somebody as me, as a high school coach, I don't want to come calling Coach Rebowe and be like, "Hey, Coach, I got this guy for you," but like he doesn't fit the Nicholls State standards. So what's some of the standards out there for our kid listeners out there who play ball and want to know, like, if they're interested in Nicholls State, how to get on their radar?
I think one of the biggest things we talk about as a staff when we go in is, look, we joke about Ray Charles can tell the 4 stars and the 5-star guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
They know it. Everybody can see them, and then it is plastered all over Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. We got to find that guy that's hungry. We got to find that guy that's probably a little bit undersized. A Sully Lesh out of Lutcher was just a little bit shorter than everybody else. Chase Forte,
Unblockable.
they didn't think he was tall enough. So some of those things where he might be a step slower or he might be a little bit underweight, But our deal is this, Coach. We say, hey, man, if that guy proves he could do it on Friday night, he could do it on Saturday night. Now I can't go. It's hard to go get, a 5'7" offensive lineman, obviously.
Right.
We got to have some guys that got to fit. But we also talk about this. If a guy was just a little bit better, just a little bit, then we probably wouldn't have a chance to get him. So we have to take a chance on some guys that might be, that development, that what you can project him to be in 2 years from now in that weight room and get him in your program. How fast he learns, how fast he – I got an old coach who tells me one time when we talk about height, he says, hey, man, listen, when a guy makes a tackle and he makes a tackle for loss, they ain't worried if he's 5'7". They ain't announcing how tall he is, right? So those are the kind of things that we look for. Our guys that want to be here, guys that are hungry. You'd like them to come from some successful programs, but listen, we've got a bunch of guys. Say at high school, not all of them are the Edna Carrs. They all not the John Curtises. But we just try to talk about that fit, man. A guy that wants to be here, a guy that's hungry. That's what we look for.
Coach, I think in any profession, no matter what you're doing in life, there's always somebody or maybe 1 or 2 people that has mentored you along the way that played a big part into your success in your career. Who might be that person or persons in your coaching career that kind of laid the stable down for you to be the coach that you are today?
Yeah, I think it has to go back to my high school days, and that's kind of crazy to think so many years ago. But my coach my senior year was Chipper Simon. He had been an assistant. He took over, and then he offered me my first job. I coached with him, and then I took over for him when he moved into administration. But he taught me so much about discipline, and he taught me about organization. And he was one of the smartest men I know, and I still give him credit everywhere I go. He taught me so much, and he always told me, when I took over for him, I was 28 years old, and I was taking over Destrehan High School. We would just move, and guys, at that time, there was 4 classes, and my first year as head coach, they were going to 5 classes, and we were the first one that took over. And then my second year, we ended up going to the Superdome and playing for the state championship in 5A. But he's got to be one. He taught me so much, and never, just a knowledge of the game. He was really good. And then you fast forward, Mike Collins, when I was at Monroe, he did so much for me. Pete Jenkins along the way has been he's been a good mentor the last couple of years. Just so much knowledge those guys have. And then I got to give credit to Mark Hutchfith when I was at UL. He was one that taught me about motivation. I mean, he just knew how to get it out of guys. And because, look, that's what it is today. If the guys will play for you, look, we all got talent, right? But if you get them guys and can get them motivated and play for you, then you have a chance.
Now, Coach, as somebody who came from the high school ranks to go to the collegiate ranks, what would be some of your advice to some high school coaches out there who want to get to that next level Because like with the NCAA making the rule that the high school coaches can't work the camps and stuff no more,
Right.
where they used to be able to showcase that they could command a room or they could take leadership from somebody above, and how they could dictate information in drills and stuff like that to get what you want. How does a coach go about, I guess, shining his skills to get to the next level in the new age of college football?
I mean, look, I love that question because some of the guys that I'm working with now, a perfect example would be Lee Russell. And, Lee was coaching, he's from Lutcher, but he was coaching at Rummel.
Yep.
And I tell you, I remember this every time I went to watch a practice. I was always observing coaches, looking at, how they interact with the kids. It wasn't all about the knowledge of the game. It's how they treated people and could they do it. And he was just always one that stood out to me and says, hey, man, if I ever got a head coaching job, he would be one that would want. But I would say this in today's is don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I mean, you got to be able to want to do everything. The old coach is going to come out in me right now is that you got to be able to go line the field. And nowadays we don't line the fields anymore because everybody's got turf,
Right.
But, hey, man, clean the locker rooms. You got to be able to wash the clothes. And I think this, young coaches today, and this is not a knock, but you got to be able to pay your dues a little bit. You got to be able to coach the freshman team and the JV team. I joke around. I got some guys that, they want to be the offensive coordinator right now, or they want to be the head coach, And I just say you got to put your times in. And listen, it's also about how you treat people and how you treat. And I remember this when I go around, I treated everybody, whether he was the freshman coach, whether I promise you, whether he was the custodian to the secretary, they're just treating people right. And people notice that, and when you go around and we're always looking, Coach, I'm telling you, we're always looking for guys. I know who we are and I understand what we pay. And I'm always looking for hungry, good, young, energetic guys because we can teach you. We can teach you the offense. We can teach you how to go out and recruit. That's all part of it. So I would say, man, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty.
And Coach, you've had a kind of a big turnover over the last few years with your coaching staff. I see some guys that's kind of, their first or second year in college coaching and it's looking like they're very enthused to try to keep that Nicholls program going in the right direction too.
Yeah, when you look at it, before Lee left this year, we had 6 out of our original 9 guys have been on the staff for 7 years. Now that's pretty good. Where we had, both coordinators have been here. I joke around that I'm paying them too much. That they want to stay there, they don't want to go nowhere. So now I still got 5 of my original coaches that are here. It's funny how just at certain positions guys want to go. That get a chance to move on. Alan Ricard was one here, and now he's, coaching at Jackson State. You look at Brock Hayes, was a good young coach, and I realize that when they good, and they help our program, I want them to move on. If they want to go, or you want to be able to help them develop. Marcus Scott, who came here and did a great job. Now, Marcus, decided to move on, and look, I think it's worked out pretty good for him. So I think we have a chance for some good young coaches if they want to get here and develop and move on. I got a couple on my staff right now that I cross my fingers every day, that I can hold on to them because they that good.
Right.
So turnover is part of the game. And listen, I'm not one to say, hey, you're going to go better yourself somewhere else. I'm not one to tell you what I think is better or not. I just want to help you, prepare you, and you can go on and be successful.
Right. Coach, my last question for you before I let you go. I want to kind of talk about Dejon Dixon and what he did in his 4 years at Nicholls State. In my opinion, I think he's the best. I know statistically he is, but talent-wise, I think he's the best receiver to come through Nicholls State. I think probably somebody that might be close to him was probably Mark Carrier back in the day.
That's I still put like Dejon like far above him because the way football has evolved since Carrier played.
Coach, you're right. You're right. The way the game has changed over the years. You're exactly right.
Yeah, but even though he went undrafted and he's in the Saints training camp, and who knows how this is going to play out. You've coached him for 4 years. You know him in and out. What you think Dejon's ceiling is as it pertains to the NFL and being able to be a veteran, for years to come?
It's funny how you asked that question because I'm watching TV this morning and they talking about the Saints receivers, and we all know how deep that receiver room is now. And they showed a clip this morning of him and Michael Thomas, running a little drill, and it was two of them together, and I looked and I thought to myself, and I said to some guys in the room, he belongs.
Yep.
He belongs. You look at him, you look at his body, and the thing that I'm worried about is getting caught up in the numbers game where he is. But believe me, I bet there's a lot of other teams that are taking notice and watching that wide receiver room down in New Orleans. But his body, what he can do and how he can go up and his ability to catch the ball. And, I guess my biggest fault, with Dejon, and people joke and we laugh, is that I didn't throw it to him enough. You couldn't throw it to him every play.
Right.
But, you go into the game, and everybody knew when it was crunch time where the ball was going. And they put two guys on him, their best players on him, underneath, over the top, and he would still come down with the catch.
Yep.
And he did, listen, all the records he broke and all the stuff he did. And remember, he sat out 5 or 6 games because when he broke his collarbone that year, then he came back. But I like the way he's grown over the years. I like the way he's matured over the years. And this is going to be a tough statement here, but I think sometimes he could be a better pro than actually a college player. If he stays in the right system and get with the right guys, I'm telling you, he is that talented. And I'm wishing him the best.
No doubt. I'm thinking that even if he doesn't make the final 53, I think he can at least get on the practice squad
for sure.
And stay in that system and probably maybe next year he gets that call to be on that final 53. That's what I'm. That's my. You're right. That's my thing.
Yeah, we were talking about that too, and they got Chris Olave. They just got, and of course, Michael. But Jarvis is not going to be around for long, and some of them other guys.
Exactly.
You're an injury away from having it. So I think his big thing too, and we used to laugh all the time. He used to tell me, "Hey, Coach, getting on special teams. Those guys got to get on special teams to find a little bit of a way they want to keep you around and do some other things." And I think they know that. They like him, what he's doing. And yeah, I'm like you. I just make that practice squad even this year. And keep developing. And listen, you'll be learning under some pretty good guys over there.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Coach, man, I appreciate you.
Real quick, Coach. I got one question left.
Right.
It's the D lineman in me, Coach. It's the D lineman. But first of all, Coach.
Go ahead.
First of all, hey, we got some talent for you up there at St. Lena. If you ever wanna stop on by.
All right, look. I know the area, man. I got my people up there, man. We all right.
Come on there. But fourth and 2 to win the championship. We going with a run or a pass.
I gotta believe the game's a one up front. We gotta be able to get the big boys moving. and I got Julian Gums and I got Colin Guggenheim. And let's take a shot and let's go.
We going ISO, we going trap, Coach.
Power.
Oh, we going power, man.
Power, Coach. You gotta run power. You're not stopping Julian Gum coming behind them guards like that. You're not stopping it.
Oh yeah.
Appreciate you, Coach, man, for taking out time out your busy schedule, man, to come on FanView. Definitely got to get you back on in the near future, man. Good luck to y'all this season. I will be in attendance for pretty much all your home games.
Hey, you guys are always welcome here. And look, anytime you want it, I love it, man. I enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Coach.
All right, later.
The great Coach Tim.